In an election driven by voter frustration, Stein, Johnson, and write-in elections could still do reasonably well this November. For Bobcat Update, I'm Rachel Willis. The whole month of October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you would like to learn how to get more involved or volunteer, go to the HCWC Facebook page or hcwc.org and get in their Get Involved tab. I'm Rachel Willis for Bobcat Update. Texans have options this year. For example, voters can choose to write in a name from a list of eligible candidates approved by the Texas Secretary of State. This year, there are 13 certified write-in candidates for president, and 4 of those candidates are from Texas. The process varies by county, but for those using the electronic voting system, all the voter needs to do is scroll down and select the write-in box, and a keyboard will appear to type out the candidate's name. Also on the ballot are third-party candidates, which according to a recent Washington Post poll, are doing better in Texas than they have in previous election cycles. Libertarian Party nominee Gary Johnson and Green Party candidate Jill Stein failed to meet the polling threshold of 15% to qualify for the presidential debates. But according to political science associate professor Ed Milhokkinen, Johnson and Stein could play a spoiler role in this year's election.
Third-party candidates for president are usually seen to be more like spoilers. They will alter people's voting patterns, and so maybe taking vote from one major party candidate rather than another.
Voting for third-party candidates or writing in a name is not likely to produce a winner, but that's not the point. Voters, like John Schuster, say it's the message that counts.
I mean, they're not going to win, but they're, I guess, like creating conversation, for outsider parties.
Political analysts say the Libertarian ticket in Texas draws support from Democrats and Republicans alike. Many see the lack of a third-party candidate in other states as unfair.
Make it much easier for third parties to get on the ballot. Because there's one thing that the Democrats and Republicans agree on, to make it difficult for third parties to get on the ballot. And that's not fair.
Several San Marcos businesses are partnering with the Hayes Caldwell Women's Center to raise money for its services. For example, Cafe on the Square is donating a portion of its earnings to the women's shelter, which is called Roxanne's House. Also, the San Marcos United Methodist Church is raising money for the shelter selling pumpkins this month. Events like these help fund legal advocacy, counseling, and housing for families coping with domestic abuse.
It's great. It does. It helps a lot, especially something where everyone's going to buy. And it's just a little thing that helps out. Yeah.
Cafe on the Square manager Esther Hink says the sense of community in San Marcos is what helps raise awareness about issues like domestic violence.
You know, this is a great little town, and I feel like people really like to have each other's backs and help each other out, and so it's just another great example of how this community comes together and works together.
Grin's Restaurant will also be donating some of its earnings to the women's shelter this week. We have Amarillo at 89, El Paso at 75, and Middle and East Texas at 85, Austin at 86 degrees right now. We should take a look across the nation. Seattle and Billings Northwest are both chilling down at 48 degrees.